Good morning and welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I'm very thrilled to be joined by Michelle DeRozier. She is in the Sundance Shorts category with the animated short, The Grandfather Drum. Welcome to the show, Michelle. How are you this morning?
Welcome, I'm good.
Good. Yes. This is such a beautiful concept as I've looked into the backstory of this short. You have a very personal connection to it. It is about your people. Share with me the backstory to this short.
This short sort of evolved into becoming about a specific drum. At first, about 4 or 5 years ago, when I started thinking about doing a short, or doing, actually this film was, originally I was approached to do a documentary, and I just couldn't figure out how to do it. It had no ending and in my mind, so I eventually sort of throughout a process, I came upon this drum because originally I was thinking about just the drum in general and how the drum is significant to a lot of people. I mean, drums have been, they're all over the world.
Right.
And I was curious about that. And for myself and for my people, it has a particularly significant role in our world and in our lives to present day. And it's very powerful. I mean, the drum sort of is the heartbeat, of Mother Earth within my culture. And when that heartbeat stops, as with anything or anybody, then life tends to stop, or it does.
Sure, sure. Yeah. And this takes place in the Northern Ontario region. And I want you to say the name because I don't want to ruin it of the group, your people.
Oh, the Anishinaabe.
The Anishinaabe? Okay. And it also means like the original people, is that correct? And so as part of this short, it's called The Grandfather Drum. What is really your intent in sharing something like this? Like as you said, it's very sacred to that particular group. And it's something that if they lose that, they essentially are losing themselves, would you say, or describe that?
Well, in some parts of my area in Northern Ontario and the remote north of Canada, we've struggled for some times with a lot of social ills. One of the things that is particularly sort of bothersome to me is the high suicide rate of Aboriginal youth. And in some of the communities, we have the highest suicide rate in the country, in Canada. With this particular drum and with this particular story, it was said by one of the elders that until the drum is brought back into our communities and in our lives in a significant way, that we will continue to suffer. And, there's very recently back home, there was like a 10-year-old that took his life in a remote community, and it continues on a daily basis. And for people, for humans, for family members, for parents, for sisters, I mean, if you could imagine that taking place in your own family and the devastation that really comes, and that actually all is linked to, in my opinion and many Indigenous people's opinion, is a colonial history of North America. So, yeah, it's extremely important to me.
And what a fascinating mode by which you're presenting this in animated form. We're going to take a look at the trailer right now. Here it is, The Grandfather Drum. And there it is, The Grandfather Drum, obviously a very quick snippet because it is a short. After all, we can't give it all away. Tell me what you enjoy most about the filmmaking process. And it must have been, I would imagine based off what you just said about your culture and such, that this must have been possibly a difficult experience, but also liberating, and that you get to share this with people.
Absolutely, a little bit of both, because it's talking about history, and it's
very
talking about personal
you,
stuff, and I also too within my own family have had that experience. I mean, like with the residential schools, a lot of my family members have been through that, and I have felt, and I continue to feel, the impact of a colonial history on a people in my everyday life. So it's extremely important, but it's also a big responsibility, and it makes me nervous, and and I feel very happy and very thrilled, but I also feel very protective, and I also feel very it's a huge responsibility, I feel, but sometimes with stories I didn't know it was going to end up to be an animation, and it just kind of evolved in that. And I think that stories sometimes, when they're ready to be told, they choose the way in which they will be told, especially when they're relating to sacred things. And I absolutely see that now after 4 years and being here right now. I'm not alone in this process.
Well, congratulations on having your film here at Sundance. As you said, kind of nerve-wracking, I'm sure, when you get to see it with people in the audience. Where and when can we see it?
Today it's actually playing at noon as part of the animated spotlight, and then again on Tuesday, and then if they miss that, they can see it again on Saturday, the 30th.
Very good. Well, congratulations, Michelle. Wonderful to have you here. And as I said, enjoy your time here in Park City. And such a pleasure to have such a fascinating facet added, I think, to the Sundance experience for so many people in hearing more about your story. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this commercial break. Much more to share with you, including Neptune and Newtown. That's after this.